Hosted in conjunction with Chris Media, the CEO Interview series allows investors to hear directly from the CEOs leading the companies featured on Wholesale Investor. Enjoy the interview and reach out via the details in the description.
Hi and welcome to another Crisp TV interview. Today I'm joined by Riccardo Canevari, CEO of Radiopharm Theranostics. Thank you for joining me, Riccardo.
Thank you, Sydney, for having me.
Riccardo, look, obviously we're talking about a deep biotech here. So I had a look at your website ahead of the interview and I saw a claim on there at the homepage around changing the way we see and treat cancer, which obviously will catch someone's eye. What's meant by that? Can you dig a bit deeper?
Yes, absolutely. No, it's an important statement and has a very large ambition behind. And this has to do with the unique characteristic of a radiopharmaceutical product. That is really our core business. So a radiopharmaceutical is a special medicine that has two ways of working. The first one, you link this medicine with a low energy isotope. This medicine goes into your body and is able to detect where the tumor is, not only the large tumor, but even more important, the small aggregation of tumor cell. So the operator behind a PET or a SPECT machine can really see where the tumor is. That's why we say see the tumor first. And then what you do with exactly the same medicine, you change isotope. You link with an isotope of high energy. The medicine is able to go exactly where it went before, but this time is releasing high energy to the tumor cells. And what happened is that the ability to disrupt the tumor DNA and kill the tumor cells while leaving almost untouched the healthy tissue. So we like to summarize, see the tumor and treat the tumor, because this is really an innovative way to consider how to manage oncological disease.
So Riccardo, if I was to sort of break down what you've just told me, so you're talking about a much higher accuracy in terms of diagnosis and therefore therapy as well and treatment. Is that correct? That's what this technology is enabling. Okay, understood. Tell me now, because now that we understand that, because that's obviously very important, let's talk about what the history is in diagnosis and treatment and why it's better and why it's more accurate. Can you break that down for me?
Yeah, with pleasure. I mean, in the last 20 or 30 years, significant progresses happen in oncology. And this is, of course, a good news. But unfortunately, still there are significant unmet medical needs, in particular in some tumor types. Oncologists, physicians today mainly can use 4 different options. They can use chemotherapy, they can use targeted therapy, and more recently, they were able to use immuno-oncology or cell and gene therapies. So 4 options in the hands of the physician to treat cancer. Now, we believe there is an emerging pillar in oncology that are called therapeutic radiopharmaceutical. And this is exactly the area where we are. There has been evidence that these products works very effectively. And we want to be sure we can part of this pillar for treating cancer.
That's very interesting. So let's maybe compare it to chemotherapy so we can break this down even simpler for the layman like me and for layman terms for others. The difference between chemotherapy and then this theranostic approach with the radiopharmaceuticals, is that chemotherapy is target a area that doesn't need to be targeted, and whereas your accurate treatment will be a lot more targeted and therefore a lot more effective and can, are we grasping it correctly, just so we can break this down for the audience?
You did a great job, Sydney. So it's exactly right. Chemotherapy is effective, is a very important tool for the oncology, but unfortunately is not specific. And for this reason has some important side effect. The radiopharmaceutical can be more selective, more targeted, and we only hope more effective than other therapy that are currently available.
Understood. Okay, I'm understanding now. Now, let's talk about, obviously, as much as I understand it, doesn't really matter. It's more so that the clinical community understands and respects it, right? So can you tell me what has been the feedback from the clinical community so far? What's been the response?
Yeah, so we were able to acquire 4 technologies, and these technologies are all coming from very prestigious academic centers: Imperial College of London, Memorial Sloan Kettering, UCLA. So behind our technology, there are really years and years of very competent people developing this product. At a certain point, they decided to allow out-license to companies that can bring those to the next step. And we already receive remarkable positive feedback about our asset. There are a number of publications in prestigious journal that are defining our asset as very high potential and very interesting mechanism.
And we'll link some of those at the bottom of the interview as well for those who are interested, if that's okay with you. And then, Riccardo, now I'm going to ask you something from a venture standpoint, more centered around aspects, about the fundamentals of the business and the team. Can you talk to me about the management team, the skills they bring to the table, and how it's going to help grow Radiopharm into the near term, the foreseeable future?
Yes, so Radiopharm Theranostics is another creation of our executive chairman, Paul Hopper, that is extremely successful and has proved with multiple biotech listed in the ASX, like, for example, Imugene, that now is probably the highest capitalized biotech in the ASX. So Paul Hopper is behind Radiopharm Theranostics. He was able to recruit the management team, starting from myself. My experience in the last decades has always been in pharma, specialty pharma, oncology, radiopharmaceutical. My last role, I was Chief Commercial Officer in Novartis of the radiopharmaceutical division. So I bring, of course, my contribution to the team. Our Chief Medical Officer, Dr. David Mosley, is coming as Professor of Nuclear Medicine from Cornell University, New York City. So very strong experience in nuclear medicine, in clinical trial, in publication in the segment. Our Chief Technical Officer has a very strong experience in the supply chain and sourcing. So we believe that this team and new people that will join soon has the expertise and is perfectly equipped to bring the company to the next stage. And we can always rely also on the advice and support from our chairman, Paul Hopper, and his strong experience. And one example of what we did together, we were able to receive potentially more than 30 assets to be assessed. And we decided to focus on 4. We focus on these 4 assets because we believe are really the one with the highest potential to be either first to market and best in class. And this selection, of course, came through a teamwork exercise, and now we are very proud of our pipeline.
Well, it sounds like you have that winning formula of technology, team, and support. And so I guess for us now, it'd be very interesting to understand what the news flow looks like for Radiopharm over the next 6 to 12 months. What's the milestones you're looking to achieve?
We expect a significant amount of news coming from us. And the reason that we have a very deep and broad pipeline, probably one of the deepest in the sector. And all our assets are in development program. One is in preclinical, but the other three are already in patient. So we have a number of data that are coming on a monthly and quarterly base, really as an update of our clinical trial are going. And the recent funds coming from the IPO are absolutely critical for acceleration of our clinical trial development. And this is what we expect to happen. So many news to come in the near future.
Excellent. Well, Riccardo, I really do appreciate you sharing with us more information about the venture and the technology behind Radiopharm Theranostics. And for anyone who is interested in reaching out to a representative from the business, we will have the details on the side of the screen. Riccardo, thank you again for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Sidney, for having me.